But there were false prophets also among the people. Even there shall be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. That means the gig's up. It's time to pay the price. All right. Let me check our simulcast, make sure we're still all good to go, and we are. So let's rock on. All right. So the people who have their doctrine wrong are already described. Now the morally wrong are pictured in Jude, verse 8:21. And we understand why theology and morality are so important. When God says all have sinned in Romans 3:23, he means all. All. He didn't say all but. He said all have sinned. All are sinners. All are in need of redemption. Every single human being. Everyone. He says all. I'm sorry for you Catholics who say that Mary had never sinned, but it's not what God says. Now when he declares that the wages of sin is death in Romans 6:23, he means that there's punishment that's coming for this. When he declares the blood of Jesus, the Son, cleanses us all from sin in 1 John, he means just that. There's no two ways about this. God says what he means, and he means what he says. So if you reject the word, you'll end up on the wrong end of this tribulation crowd. And secondly, if one says he's a Christian, but he continues to purposely live in sin, relying strictly solely on God's grace, the result will be the same, even if his doctrinal theories may coincide with the true teachings of the words. He's still in trouble. Now I'm not saying you're going to lose your salvation, because he makes it clear that you can't lose your salvation. Paul says that it's through grace and faith that no man can boast. Nobody can say that they're better than somebody else, or they've done something that somebody else has or hasn't done, because your works are filthy rags to him. You cannot earn your way to heaven, because if you could earn your way to heaven, we wouldn't have needed Jesus to come and pay the price for us. Nobody can earn their way to heaven, good, bad, indifferent. It's through his grace and your faith, the combination of those two. He does his part, you do your part. His part is the grace, your part is the faith. All right. Now disobedience has a price to pay, but it's not your salvation. All right, so let's look at verse 4 once again. We notice that the woman, or the mother of this new world church, that's clothed in material or purple or scarlet color, which is a color of rulership. It's always been a color that kings and royalty has worn. Means that she is going to be the ruler of not a literal female, but the one that's pictured here is going to be the ruler of this ecumenical movement. Now, I think it's important, even though I don't put a lot of faith in prophecies that have come from Catholicism, just because not all of them have come to pass, but the one about Saint Malachi from the 11th century, where he said that there would only be 112th Pope, and the next one would be the one that defects. And we're at that number now, and they're in the process of electing the next Pope now. I think at least bears paying attention to whether or not it comes to pass, because it's not biblical. I mean, for Saint Malachi to number the popes and name them off the way he did, and say that this last pope would be the one that defects to join the Antichrist as the false prophet, and that it would be a Catholic pope that did that. May or may not come true. But what I'm saying is this is not biblical. This is Catholicism. So let's move on to verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Now this is important. You need to remember this. Mystery Babylon the Great. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. So here we discovered that this mother church has daughters, because it's a mother. Her offspring are groups who either rejected the true teachings of the founder of Christianity, or who had a counterfeit experience with God. They went through the motions, but they were never truly converted. And among these people are cultists and apostates, unconverted professors of religion, including all religions. Not everybody can have the facts. Look at all the denominations. Everybody believes something different. They can't all be right. So that's what we're talking about here. Everyone who is not right is going to be a daughter or a son of Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Now, my personal opinion here is that all of these different denominations that we have around the world, Lutheran and Baptist, blah, 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 all of them are an abomination before God, because it divides the church. The church is more divided now than probably it's ever been before. All right. So some of these are going to be people who don't have this true relationship with God. Instead, they have a bag that they wrote Christian on, and they carry that bag around and say, see, I'm a Christian, because they're carrying a bag that says Christian on it. But if you open the bag, there's nothing in it. There is nothing in it. Because, like I've said many times on the program before, if the cross and the sacrifice on the cross has not turned your life upside down, if you are not radically changed by the power of the cross, you are not a regenerated, converted Christian. You are something else, but you're not a true Christian unless the cross has radically changed the very citadel of your life. If you are not a changed person, you're not a Christian, and you need to get straight, because you would fit as one of the children of the Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots and abominations on earth. All right. Verse 6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Admiration? What does this mean? Well, John watches all of these antics and persecutions that this woman used, and he wonders with great admiration. What does that mean? This does not mean he admires the one who has mercilessly destroyed so many. Instead, the original Greek is that John wonders with a great wonder, that he's mystified. Much like a lot of us are mystified with what's going on today. Is there a connection there? When John was mystified, as I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, drunken with the blood of the saints, she just enjoyed it that much. She was intoxicated with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And John was obviously mystified by that. How could somebody enjoy that so much? Verse 7, and the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which he had the 7 heads and 10 horns. Well, the explanation begins in the next verse. Verse 8, the beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they beheld the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. Now, for a lot of people, you're going to hear that and you're going to go, what? Because that's what a lot of people say. But this is all explained. If you will just, this is all explained. Well, let me go through this one more time. This is verse 8. The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. Now, this angel is unfolding this mystery of this beast that's in verse 8 through 17. So, then in verse 18, the identity of this woman's revealed. And it's concerning the beast that declares, the beast that thou sawest was, past tense, and is not, present tense, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, future tense. Okay, this is the way that these verses are used. Now, I'll go through this again in case you didn't catch all of this. So here's what verse 8 says. It says that the beast that thou sawest and is not, that thou sawest was, past tense, and is not, present tense, and shall, future tense, ascend out of the bottomless pit. So this is the same beast that's found in verse 3, also in chapter 13, verse 1. Now the reason this beast was and is not shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition is that, as mentioned in chapter 13, that he is more than likely going to be assassinated during this tribulation hour. This is the beast that has the wound that either kills him or it's a deadly wound that he doesn't die from. There's a lot of different interpretations of that. You pick your own interpretation. I'm not going to interpret that for you because it doesn't say. It says a wound like unto death. So it doesn't say it killed him. It said it's like unto death. So either he survives it or comes back from it. I'm not sure how that the whole thing, the Bible doesn't make it clear. But here's the point. That he's more likely assassinated and thus is not. Whether he's killed or should be killed, this makes it that he is not. Then Satan, the great imitator, resurrects him or heals him of this wound, enters the body of this human for this final 42-month tribulation. That's 7 years, 42 months, simple math. Okay, the explanation fulfills the statement, and yet is, in verse 8, while he's deceased, the beast in his place is departed of evil spirits from the bottomless pit. Now at the time of his resurrection or his healing, he ascends out of this pit only to eventually go back, when Christ comes back after the Battle of Armageddon. So he tells those persons whose names were not written in the book of life, these people are going to be emotionally stirred as they see this beast that was alive and is not because of his assassination or healing, and yet is because of his resurrection, and he comes back ruling again. So all this does is explain everything that's said about this Antichrist and this deadly wound, or